She did. The travel gods smiled on Tara Hunt. She is truly one of the pioneers of social media. In her space, her Woofle Factor and other innovative work with startups and brands over the years have helped unite bloggers and brands in this new world we now just call digital marketing. And she came down from Toronto, and I think she had a few air traffic travails, but as I said, she made it. So please welcome Tara Hunt.
Thank you very much, Jack. All right, I'm just going to be high maintenance here for just a second, if that's okay. Actually, if I was truly high maintenance, I wouldn't have to ask if it's okay. I'd just do it. All right, let's hope for the best here. And we're going to go into displays, unplug and replug. Should work. I'm not mirroring. Is that going to work? Yay! Excellent. I wasn't a long time high maintenance. Hi, yes, I made it. Thank you so much for having me. It's very good to be in Louisville. And when I said to people that I was coming, of course, everybody said like the very stereotypical thing, get some bourbon, try all the bourbon, drink all the bourbon. And I said, come on, guys. Kentucky's more about than just bourbon. But then this morning, when I was getting off the plane and I turned on my phone, check out the first Wi-Fi service. I am so proud of you guys for owning it. That's so awesome. So I have 3 goals for today. Number 1 is to convince you that video and other personality-driven media is worth your investment of time and money. I'll also show you that it's not going to cost you a lot of money, for sure. Show you how to do it right and not how to do it poorly, like we see a lot of online. And number 3, hopefully, at the end of the day, each and every one of you will be budding creators. All right, so first of all, are there any current creators in the crowd? Oh, we got a few. Excellent. So you guys know what I'm talking about. Definitely help me out here. So first of all, then, why is video worth your investment? So here's a scenario. I'm giving you a little analogy. You're looking to get a return on investment. You've got a bunch of money, you want to retire a little bit earlier, and you have 2 strategies. So your first strategy is creating a financial plan, going through your retirement strategies, creating getting insurance, making sure everything's sound, investing soundly, having a long-term goal. And then the second strategy, of course, is lighting your money on fire. So this is the analogy, I think, that's akin to investing in your personal brand and video online versus continuing to buy advertising. And maybe I'm being a little unfair when it comes to that, because maybe it's more like having that financial plan or, gambling, which is appropriate that we were here. I didn't even, when I put this slide together, I forgot that we were actually going to be at a casino. So have at her if you want to go in that direction. Because sometimes advertising, does hit its mark, and sometimes it does work for people, but not as often. But what's the difference then between the 2? Why do I think one is better than the other? Well, content is about long-term investment, building relationships, connecting to and servicing your audience, as well as building credibility and trust with your audience, while outbound marketing and other, advertising and other forms of outbound marketing are more short-term investments, right? You want an immediate outcome. It's about getting attention. It's about interrupting and inserting yourself into the conversations that are happening right now. And it's about building yourself up as much as you possibly can, rather than building bonds with your audience. And yeah, the first one is a bit of a long-term, is a bit of a slog, but the second one doesn't last. So, still not convinced? Who here is convinced? Like, I'm going out right now and doing video. All right, we got some. That's good. So here's some stats then for you. So anybody see this particular survey the last 2 years in Variety magazine? Who has? Okay, good. So there's still quite a few people that haven't. So they surveyed US teens, and yes, it's teens. It's not, maybe your audience is more B2B or an older audience, but US teens, out of their top 20 most influential celebrities, 11 of them were YouTubers. These are kids like KSI and PewDiePie and Jenna Marbles who sit, well, they're not kids, I guess they're in their 20s. They sit in front of a camera and talk to the camera, and they talk to their audience week after week or day after day, some of them. And they are more influential than people that are up, releasing big albums, several big albums on the movie screen, that sort of thing. But okay, maybe your audience isn't teens and you don't care about a teen audience necessarily, and that's not who you're trying to reach. Well, here's some stats for you. 62% is how much less you're going to be paying to invest in content marketing versus the outbound marketing to get the same results. But the number of leads that content marketing provides is 3 times that you get out of outbound marketing. The percentage of customers who feel more positive about a company in general after seeing their content is 82%. That's astounding. 50% is the percentage of time consumers spend engaging with custom content online. So that's a lot of their time they're online that they're engaging with custom content. And sometimes they don't even know that it's marketing. And for those of you that are B2B, well, 80% of decision makers prefer to get their information in useful ways rather than here's an ad and here's another ad. And if that still doesn't convince you, content creation ranks #1 as the single most effective SEO technique that there is out there. So most of you do still and will for a long time rely on search engine results, on Google being Googleable, right? #1. And if that, one more thing, if that doesn't convince you, some of the biggest brands in the world, like Coca-Cola and Kraft, have decided to shift their advertising spending. These are huge advertisers into content. There's something up here. But wait, okay, so I think there's some head nods, some people going, okay, well, maybe. But there is a caveat. A lot of people do invest in content. A lot of people do invest in video. A lot of people do invest in these things, but they do such a terrible job of it, it really doesn't help. It doesn't go anywhere for them. So why is their approach so bad? Why isn't it going anywhere? It's because it's old school. So #1, they think in campaigns. Well, we'll put out a bunch of videos, or we'll create a viral video, or we'll do this thing for a few months and see how it works. So they sacrifice relationships for immediate results. They're all about the impressions. Style over substance. They put tons of money, and we're going to talk about this in a little while, into all sorts of production, but don't think about the substance of the content that they're putting out there. They prioritize awards and flashiness over results, long-term results, and they think in brand-centric ways. Me. What do we want the audience to know about us? So if that's wrong, then how do you do content right? So #1, you need to think consistent. So that's week after week or bi-weekly or just on a regular basis. These YouTubers that I showed you up on the screen, every week, they don't have seasons. There's no seasons in YouTube land. They don't produce 10 shows and then go away for 6 months and then come back. Week after week after week. Who here's heard of Casey Neistat? All right. For those of you that don't, I think he's like gone from a couple thousand to like 4 or 5 million now. 5 million? In like a couple of years, because every single day he puts up a new video. Now that's extreme. The guy is like, I don't think he sleeps, but that's how he's built his audience. Every day he cares enough and he invests enough in that audience every day to put up new content. And he thinks about this in a long-term investment. There's a thing that's called the 3-month slump that a lot of brands get. They'll be like gung-ho about it, but they don't see results in 3 months and they drop it, and it's such a shame. Listen more than you speak. Make it relatable to a narrow audience. Don't try to make content for everybody. Make sure that you practice this relatability factor, that you are putting out content that people are connecting to, and that it's human-centric. So don't do branded content. Think people, because people connect with people, not brands. And I'll show you some really great examples of this in a little bit. Also, you need to understand the 3 myths of online video. I forgot my echo machine today. So myth number 1, great videos are expensive to make. Wrong. It's not expensive if you focus on the stuff that matters. So for your benefit, I've made it 2 lists. Shit that matters, or stuff that matters, and stuff that doesn't matter. So let's start with what doesn't matter. This is what doesn't matter. Production levels. If you can't read that, it's all right. I'll read a few of them. Polish and perfection, 4K cameras, branding, the length of your content. Some of these YouTube videos are like 16 minutes long, and they watch them from beginning to end. Cool B-roll, brand consistency, stuff like that. That doesn't matter. But what does matter is respect for your audience, passion for what you're doing, openness and a desire to learn and improve, connecting, helping people laugh, learn, think, being interesting, understanding and listening to your audience, doing what Jason was just talking about is like doing conversational research to understand what they care about and then creating content to actually speak to that. And these two lists, well, here, it's free. All of this is free or inexpensive. It's not the stuff that costs a lot of money, except for it may cost time. And this other stuff, well, it's mostly not free, right? It's mostly pretty expensive. That is where, oh, sorry, this side. It's mostly expensive. You need to stop thinking like a brand or an agency, and you need to start thinking like a creator. And for those of you who aren't creators and who may not know this term, creator is a word now like used for people that are online who build their own audiences through creating some sort of ongoing show or content on an ongoing basis. It used to be like YouTuber, Instagrammer, Snapchatter, but the thing is people just cross over those platforms all of the time. So creator is more of the word. And creators, they don't worry about all that fancy stuff. They learn as they go along. They build an audience one by one. They create. And and P.S., this is a basic equipment list that I think is a pretty darn fancy setup. It's my setup at home. And, here, this number for camera, tripod, lapel mic, all the stuff that I think is pretty fancy, goes beyond an iPhone or some sort of point and shoot. It's just over $1,100. And by the way, that's Canadian dollars, so that's what, like $200 US? I don't know. And other costs, if you want to add them, if you don't want to DIY it, or you might want to hire an editor. You could get a darn good editor for $75 an hour, and they don't take very long. You can do a DIY backdrop setting. Some people use bookshelves at home, that sort of thing. I'll show you some examples in a little bit, but and then hiring somebody to help you through it. But it's not a very expensive endeavor. In fact, if you compare it to the cost of buying ads, the investment accrues over a long period of time and is like 1/100th of the cost. So myth number 2, video has to go viral in order to be successful. Oh, this is like the worst one. I totally hate this focus on viral online, because viral videos, yeah, okay, they're the ones that everybody hears about, but they're like the rare unicorn little snowflakes over in the corner. And yeah, they happen, but you can't make viral. They just, and they're very rarely brand driven. And those brand videos that are supposedly viral, take a look at the money they have in advertising behind those videos. They're not actually truly like, the cute kitten videos or the Charlie bit my finger kind of viral. They're helped along the way quite a bit. So what other kind of videos are there? Well, I mean, the hero one is what we just talked about, the viral videos that most brands and agencies focus on, and they think about them in this one-off, let's put all of our effort behind this one video. There's what YouTube calls help content, and help videos are more of the like how-tos, what we're about, the stuff that's actually quite SEO friendly, so that's good to have, but you're not gonna maybe make them on a regular basis. It's more of a like, we're gonna make a whole bunch of these, and then in 6 months we might revisit them, refresh them to update them for our products. But then there's this other kind of video, and this is the kind of video that those creators that you saw in that variety slide are doing. They're called hub videos, and they're about creating a regular, consistent, ongoing web series where you're growing and learning with your audience along the way, and you're connecting with your audience. And these are the videos that I always try to encourage people, small business, medium business, even large business, to focus on. But unfortunately, there aren't very many brands that, when I was looking for examples, it was really hard to find brands that are examples of doing hub well. But I do have a few, and there's one quite famous one that you guys probably already know. So who's familiar with L2, this organization? As far as, Jason should know this organization, really great brand intelligence, although they do sell their services, I think, for $13,000 a month. So Jason may not subscribe. I know that it's too rich for my blood. They do have really awesome information, and they're a business intelligence firm, and they do benchmarking around a bunch of different industries. And, how do I know about them? How are they able to sell their services for $13,000 a month? Well, they have this amazing free content that they provide, which gives a summary of everything that they're looking into and all the ways in which they think and they know and understand, called winners and losers in a digital age. And Scott Galloway is their founder. And he's the guy on the videos. And he goes, and he's got this great dry sense of humor, and he's completely like, he says things like, he tells jokes in this deadpan way that you almost miss them, but it's super entertaining, and they've got their finger on the pulse of everything. And I can't miss any of these videos. They're about 3 minutes long. Every day they do them. And they share basically their analysis on all of the research that they're doing. They give that away for free, and it helps them drive a lot of their business sales at the end of the day. It creates amazing lead generation for them. And in the few years that they've been doing this, from L2 being an obscure research firm to being quite well known in the industry, they've gained over 25,000 subscribers. And they do boost their videos, but I'm not against advertising. Just let me step back from the advertising comments before. I'm not against advertising when it actually underscores great content, because it can help you reach a broader audience and introduce your great content to more people. So this one, Blendtec. Who knows Blendtec? Blendtec, a few Blendtec? You guys know what's coming. Will it blend? Have you guys, okay, for those of you who didn't know Blendtec before, do you now recognize this particular YouTube channel? Now this one's amazing, because Blendtec, with Tom Dixon, who is their founder, came out in like 2006, I think it was, like right at the beginning of YouTube. So what happened is they were facing some huge competition. They knew their blender was much better, but Vitamix had struck up a deal with like Whole Foods and a whole bunch of other companies, and they were like, how are we going to show that our blender is way better? And they used to have this thing that they did in like the back warehouse where they used to throw all sorts of crazy stuff into blenders to see like how much their blender would withstand. And people would stand around with their goggles on, and it was like kind of a fun thing to do. And somebody actually made the suggestion, why don't we do this on video? So they went out and they spent like $50 on this set, on the original set. Tom Dixon, the CEO, who was the guy who was passionate behind it, he got behind the camera, or got in front of the camera, and he started blending crazy stuff. They had their first like viral, they'd been doing it for a long time, and it actually created results. They, in 1 month of having the Will It Blend series, their sales surged four times what it was before. But they had their huge viral success out of the blue when the iPhone came out, and people were standing in line and they blended that iPhone, and that might have been the one that put them on the map. And Blendtec has been using these videos for years and years. Tom even retired and came back to continue to do the show because there was such an outrage that he was gone, because people loved it so much. This is how much they connect with this company. Nearly 1 million subscribers and no boosting at all. 0 boosting on their channel. 279 million views. What a great level of advertising for this company. So this is this was a very sweet business. It's less than 50 people. Vidler's Five and Dime. Anybody ever been or heard of Vidler's Five and Dime? Vidler's Five and Dime is in lovely Aurora, New York. And they also were pretty early in this venture. And they created, there we go. They created Vidler's TV. And now they don't have a ton of subscribers or views, but they're a local store. But a lot of stuff has happened with Vidler's TV. Number one, they have people coming from all over the world to stop into their store because of their YouTube channel. They also were up for the 2016 Super Bowl videos, and that were sponsored by Intuit, so got a lot of big fame for that. And you know, they don't appear to be spending any money, but people write them all the time, and they have a huge number of fans across different platforms. And like I said, people make it a destination for this little Five and Dime. And I'm going to show you one of their videos quickly because it is, you can see why. And now we're going to take a special road trip, since somebody pointed this out, to go see them. Oh, actually, sorry. I just realized I didn't plug in this, which is going to really help. Sorry, I don't want to. There we are.
You might want to be a bit careful.
Oh, there we go.
You might want to be a bit careful about where you sit down after you see this. Welcome to another episode of Vidler's TV. I'm Don Vidler, along with my sister Beverly, coming to you from inside the world-famous Vidler's Five and Dime in East Aurora, New York. Among the thousands of items offered here at Vidler's Five and Dime, one rises above the rest as being the single most effective, fail-safe executioner of its mission to completely disrupt the decorum of any gathering. This simple, sturdy, elegantly designed object can cut through cultural and language barriers better than a busload of Peace Corps workers. We are, of course, talking about the venerable whoopee cushion. Vulgarity has always been a first cousin to comedy, and of course, the whoopee cushion is the absolute prime example of this, having served several generations with an effective tool to humiliate a good friend or simply break the tedium of the moment. And boy howdy, does this burbling bad boy break the tedium of the moment. It never fails, of course, never. While there are some folks who wish it had never been invented, here at Vidler's Five and Dime, the whoopee cushion is a respected member of our product inventory, where the cheap laugh is always happy to keep company with the useful and downright practical. Seriously, Don't you have a friend or two who are just a bit full of themselves? Maybe it's time to visit Vidler's for the surefire cure.
That was not a whoopee cushion.
Find this and 74,999 other useful items at Vidler's, the largest five and dime store in the world, located in downtown East Aurora, New York. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube and invite your friends to watch. Leave a comment and tell us which products you'd like to see reviewed in future episodes. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
Welcome, Don. So you can see how absolutely adorable, how well that would connect to an audience, and how simple that would be to set up. You know, the equipment list that I put up earlier, they probably didn't even go that far with their videos. This might have been even shot on an iPhone or some other point-and-shoot camera. You know, there wasn't huge special effects. There weren't multiple camera angles. The lighting was okay. I mean, they obviously were mic'd up somehow because the sound wasn't echoey or tinny, but really super simple to set up, and they have endless content there, and they have, I think, 60 some videos, and they highlight various different products, and they do little songs and about different seasons. They have the 12 days of Vidlers, so they have like all sorts of fun content. I encourage you highly to go check them out. It's a great example of a really simple approach to content that will end up reaching its goals. Now, here's a podcast idea. So, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, video isn't my thing. I want to do podcasts. So I wanted to give a podcast example as part of this as well. So Joan Gary used to, you know, do this, a little bit of consulting on the side, but she had like a full-time job, and she, you know, she was quite good at what she was doing. She's kind of a coach for nonprofit leaders. She helps with crisis management. She helps with organizational structure, that sort of thing. So she did a little bit of on the side, but she really wanted to make it her full-time job. So she approached a friend of mine, Scott Paley, who she was like, can you make a website for me? Maybe I need a website. He said, no, Joan, you don't need a website. What you need is a platform. You need people to be able to see how smart you are, that you know what you're talking about, and, you know, give away some of your knowledge. So they started by blogging. And this is when blogging was still cool. No offense to bloggers out there, I'm still one myself. and then a year and a half ago, the blog was starting to lose its readership, right? She had 17,000 subscribers, but not as many people were linking or clicking through and engaging with the content. So they fired up a podcast. Within 3 days, it became the #1 podcast for nonprofits in the iTunes store. And she's now got a book deal with Wiley to write. So ironically, she had to do a podcast, not write, to get a book deal to write. Right on this subject matter, and she got herself on what's the reality TV show with NBC around profits, because they were able to hear her personality come through her podcast. Now I'm going to show you, I'll give you a little sneak peek into something that I'm working on. So another very small company, less than 50 people, PWO Capital is my client. They have offices in Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, and Waterloo. And they approached me because one of their advisors had been blogging for many years, and they found that they got most of their not referral-based leads through this advisor's blog. So they wanted to see what they could do to expand on content. And when I did the analysis, I did the research that Jason's talking about to find the insights that people connect with people, and especially in finance, which is a very confusing and also an industry that there's a lot of trust that's been broken over the years. You need to connect with an advisor that you can trust and you know that understands your needs. So we decided to focus on individual advisors within the organization. And so we're launching, so this one's about to launch. Your Money, Your Choices with Susan Daly. Susan, she was also pictured in one of my early slides. That was me recording her, but she is sitting in her living room, and that is her bookshelf of Harry Potter books behind her. She's aimed at helping millennials basically figure out their money before they even start investing, even though she's an investment advisor. Nancy Graham, her show is called No Dumb Questions. It's launching early November, and she's aimed at an older audience who is well established, don't really need the financial planning stuff, but need to understand, okay, I've got all this money now, how do I spend it in my retirement, enjoy myself without, you know, totally leaving my kids without money. So how much should I leave my kids and how much should I enjoy? All that sort of stuff, and how can I invest without losing it all? And then Justin Bender, who is in the Toronto office, he's doing DIY investing where he's actually showing people how to do it themselves. So very much that principle like L2 is like, here's how to do it. Here's how the sausage is made. You don't have to hire me. And the theory is that people will eventually decide that it's too much work anyways and hire him, or at least that's what I think is going to happen. Not necessarily his intention. There's also two podcasts we're doing. One is the first French-Canadian financial podcast, L'Investissement décomplexé, and then the guy whose blog has been big for many years, Canadian Couch Potato. We're launching a podcast for him too. And the reason that I tell you this is because they didn't have a huge budget. They didn't approach me saying, you know, we can spend $100,000 this year or whatever on this content. It was a much smaller project than that. So, like I said, instead of focusing on the brand, we focused on individual personalities. So there's going to be over 10 different shows that come out of this organization. They all have different angles, voices, audiences, branding, look and feels, and personalities. So even though they come from the same company with the same investment philosophy, they all have very different audiences. And then, like I said, the initial investment is much less than even just like they had bought billboards in an airport before. They spent more on those billboards for 3 months or 6 months than they'll spend on this entire investment of this strategy with 10 plus shows that are going out. It's also, the way that I work is teach a man to fish. This program is designed to become 100% self-sufficient so that I can step out of the picture eventually. They can record themselves, they can send stuff to the editors, that sort of thing. So myth number 3, onto myth number 3. You should hire, ironically, and I know, hire professionals to make your videos. This is wrong too. Even though I just told you that I'm helping them with this, it's really, really important that I've put them in the driver's seat and I'm their supporting character on this. Because this is you, and this is your customer, and what's important is that you have a connection, a direct connection to your customer, because this is what builds relationships. This is the important part of the equation. And as soon as you put, well, first of all, even your brand, but then an agency between you and your customer, that connection is going to be broken, and so will the relationship bond. Do you like my animation there? I worked very hard on that. Content that works is content that connects, and what connects is personality. This is what this whole presentation is grounded in. And personality includes things like authenticity, vulnerability, humility, a real point of view, curiosity, openness, and of course, honesty. And those aren't things that you can have somebody else create for you. None of that is stuff that you can outsource. That has to come from you yourself. So 5 reasons why hiring someone to do your content is dumb. Now, 1, it creates an additional barrier, like I said, between you and your audience. It decreases authenticity. You become reliant on an outside party to make more content. So once you get going, the reason that you're going to hit that wall is you run out of money or you have a dispute with the people that are making your content, or they try to charge you more money. Either way, you know your business best, so you should be the one that's telling your stories, and you run the risk of focusing on, well, the stuff that doesn't matter. You say this to yourself every day in the morning: I am a special snowflake. The only professional that you should be hiring are the ones that tell you that you should learn to make the content yourself, the ones that help teach you how to do the content yourself. The days of agencies doing content for you, and I'm sorry for you that are in the room that are agencies that may really disagree with this, even though you might do really awesome content, those days really should be in the past. Your role as an agency should really be helping create content creators in your clients. But wait, so I've been talking about video and there's content. I just want to underscore why video and audio, and why I don't mean to bash on blogs. I don't mean to bash on just doing social posts. All that stuff builds relationships too. But let me tell you, the impact of it is huge. So number one, 53x increase of being on page 1 in Google with video. Google puts video right at the top. And don't use Vimeo. You put it on YouTube, because it's a Google property. They're going to put it top of the search results. By 2017, video will account for 69% of internet traffic. The audience is going towards video. Production costs have fallen significantly, but also the bar is still high for producing these videos, so it'll take your competition longer to get there. So therefore, you have a blue ocean strategy in video. Believe me, I scoured YouTube for examples, and it was not easy. There is still a lot of opportunity for you there. You'll have the early mover advantage for your audience too, because so you saw the teens are being well served with the content creators out there, but a professional older audience is not. And so they say, oh, there's more teens that are using YouTube on a regular basis. I'm like, yeah, because the content is there for them. If there's content there for an older audience, and I do my show on YouTube, and I'm gaining an audience, and it's definitely a 30-plus audience, and they're coming back, and they're subscribing, and they're commenting. It's great. Personality shines through with video like nothing else. And then, of course, I'm not going to be down on podcasting, because if people are not comfortable in front of video, podcasting is really amazing. And Donna Papacosta, she's a coach for brands on podcasting, coined this phrase that I love, that podcasting, actually, you have this thing called the intimacy of the earbud. So a lot of people listen to their podcasts while running and stuff. They hear your voice like right in their ear. So there is an amazing kind of connection. The only thing I'll tell you with podcasts is they're a pain in the butt to get found still. Maybe that's going to change in the next few years as they get more popular. So how did I do? Who wants to be a creator now? Come on, everybody. Come on. Yeah. All right, you can send me an email if you still have some questions, and that's where you can find me. You can also find me on YouTube. There. That's it. Yeah.